Come sail around the world with me. Ride on the waves of the deep blue sea. Float to an island where the days are free. Spend some time with my family. The Swiss Family Robinson, living in the sun. The Swiss Family Robinson, every day is fun, fun, fun. Friends all around me, everywhere. Down in the water, up in the air. All of them mean a lot to me, but my very best friends are my family. The Swiss Family Robinson, living in the sun. The Swiss Family Robinson, every day is fun, fun, fun. The Swiss Family Robinson, living in the sun. The Swiss Family Robinson, every day is fun, fun, fun. Fun, fun, fun. Fun, fun, fun.
It was fun to live in a treehouse, but we'd gotten soaked once too often during a thunderstorm. So the day I stumbled upon a cave, I ran as fast as I could to show it to everyone.
How did you ever find this,
I followed Brewster's paw prints.
Brewster's not still in the cave, is he?
He could be. I'd better check. Brewster! 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 Dad, what's that squeaky sound? Oh!
Take this, Becca. I wish I knew what was making that noise.
I had never been so scared as when I looked in that cave and realized that Brewster may have been eaten by a monster.
I've never seen so many bats at once, and they look mad.
Ernest, let's get out of here!
Uh-oh.
Once I quit worrying about the possibility of having a bat get stuck in my hair, I had fun watching them rise into the sky. They looked like a flying carpet. I decided there was no reason to be afraid. After all, they were the ones who were leaving their home for us. If I hadn't been so excited to see the cave, I would have felt sorry for them.
I think they're all gone.
This cave is too dark.
I agree with you, Jack. At least we won't be sharing it with our squeaky friends anymore.
I can't wait to start exploring. It looks big enough for the whole family.
Wait, Becca. There may still be dangerous animals lurking inside. Fritz and I will go first and investigate. I want you to stay here and watch over your mother and Jack. We better go, Fritz.
Now, Ernest, be careful.
Don't worry, dear.
Watch out for snakes, Fritz!
Funny, Becca.
Once again, I was left behind while Dad and Fritz went to search things out first. It didn't seem fair. I knew I was at least as brave as Fritz, and after all, I was the one who had discovered the cave in the first place. I couldn't wait until it was my turn to look around.
This place is enormous.
I was worried sick. What if Dad and Fritz became famous for being the first humans to enter the cave while I was forced to wait outside?
Where do you think you're going, young lady?
Well, I thought someone should check and make sure that Dad and Fritz were all right. Hey, Dad, ready yet?
I think it's safe for you to come in now.
Yay!
Becca, wait! Becca! We want to go with you. We have a sense of adventure.
Come on, then. You'll feel safer if you take my hand, Jack.
This cave looks sort of spooky to me.
I think so, too. Don't be scaredy cats. I'm sure that it's all right. Otherwise, Dad wouldn't have said it was safe for us to come in. I'm not afraid, Becca.
I'll follow you two explorers. Darling, have you and Fritz found any signs of any other inhabitants?
No, not yet.
Ah! Look, Jack! The ceiling is just like a dome. And look at that doorway over there. It's a cave within a cave. I'd better investigate.
Well, I'll go with you.
It was quite exciting to be the one who discovered the cave in the empty room. I was beginning to think I'd make a good explorer. Now that we know that the cave has 2 rooms, it seems more like a house.
You're right, Becca.
Look over here. I found another room.
Good eye, Fritz.
Oh, I don't believe this. Here's another. At this rate, we'll each be able to have our own bedroom.
It sounds like Becca's planning for us to move in here.
I don't know. Doesn't sound bad to me. What do you think?
That's a tough question. It's so gloomy in here. But at least it would protect us from the wind and the rain.
I'm sure if we made a fire, it would brighten this cave right up, Mom.
Yes, and we're lucky it has such high ceilings. There's sure to be enough oxygen. I think we should stay here through the rainy season at least.
That sounds like an acceptable plan.
Brewster! There you are. I've been looking all over for you. Hey, what do you have in your mouth? What's this?
Where did you find that, Becca?
Brewster had it between his teeth.
Let's see. It looks like a piece of pottery.
That's impossible. I suddenly remembered the cup that Brewster had brought me back at the treehouse. I'll be right back.
What's she up to now?
Good dog.
I wonder where Becca's gone off to in such a hurry. She must have had another brilliant idea. Wait, I think I hear her coming back already.
Take a look at this cup, Father.
Let's see. Looks like we have a missing puzzle piece. Look, it fits.
I just knew it would.
Becca,
Oh.
where did you find these things?
I totally forgot about it once I found the cave. Brewster came home with the cup in his mouth. It seems like a very strange thing to find on an uninhabited island.
Do you think that someone else may be in here?
I seriously doubt that there's anyone else living on this island. It's just not that big. I'm sure we would have run into them by now.
I think it's unlikely that they're still alive. That cup hasn't seen the light of day for a while.
Oh, I think you're right, Ernest. I'm sure this cup hasn't been used for quite a long time.
Becca, do you think you know where Brewster found the cup?
I think so. I must admit that for the very first time since we arrived in the cave, I wasn't very anxious to lead the way. Our new home suddenly looked dank and dreary, and I suspected it was crawling with spooks. But I managed to keep my fear to myself. I couldn't risk having Fritz tease me for the next 3 months. I also appreciated the chance to solve the great mystery of our cave. Ah!
What is it? What's scaring you so much?
Look there, Dad!
Please give me the torch, Fritz. I can't imagine what this could be. Poor fellow. I wonder what happened.
Mother!
Dad, has he been like that for a long time?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Do you think he was here all by himself?
I suppose so.
How horrible. I feel sorry for anyone who dies alone.
Do you think it was a man or a woman?
Well, I can tell it was a man by the size of his skeleton. And since he has a full set of teeth, I would assume that he's not very old.
I suddenly wanted to know everything I could about that unfortunate man. I thought somehow he would appreciate my interest in him. I began to look around his room for clues. Oh, I wonder what this could be. Look, everybody, I think I found his diary. Come on in, Brewster. You should be listening to this, too.
Well, a lot of these pages have been ruined, but I think I can make some of it out. On the inside cover, it says this book belongs to Eric Bates. And since he wrote in English, I'd say he was either an Englishman or an American. December 20th. Christmas will be here soon, but I'm just not in the holiday spirit.
That poor fellow.
That's about the time we were shipwrecked.
I'm not really sure what today's date is. I'm just guessing the 20th. The last thing I remember was that on December 19th, our ship hit a rock during a wild storm. We ran for the lifeboat, but the storm capsized our boat. We were tossed on the waves. When I regained consciousness, I was on the beach.
Storms must be prevalent at this time of the year.
There was some baggage I didn't recognize that had washed up alongside me. But I didn't run into another person, either alive or dead. I haven't given up hope, though.
I just wish he hadn't been by himself.
The only other living things I've found here were 2 goats who I assume must have come from the ship. They appear to take comfort in my presence and follow me wherever I go. Although they're exceptionally friendly, it seems impossible to imagine they will be my exclusive companions from now on.
He has to be talking about our goats.
The mother goat is probably one of them.
I wonder what happened to the male goat.
It's possible that he may still be around here somewhere.
Then why doesn't he come to visit his wife and baby?
That's hard to say. It's possible he hasn't been able to find them since they moved in with us. Or maybe something has happened to him.
If that goat used to belong to Mr. Bates, he must have been on the island quite a while before we arrived here.
Life on the island was always full of surprises. I felt like I was in the middle of a mystery.
Well, I'll read some more. Maybe then we'll be able to figure out exactly what happened to him. March 28th. I've been here so long, I don't know what the weather's like anymore. This part's hard to read. It looks like he was becoming too weak to write. My temperature still hasn't gone down. He must have gotten sick. There's just a little bit more here that I can make out. March 9th, I'm beginning to feel hungry because I haven't had anything to eat for at least 2 days. I don't have any food left, but for the first time in days, I feel like I have the energy to go out and see if I can find something.
What do you think made him sick, Father?
I think he may have had malaria. And that's the end of the diary of Eric Bates.
He seemed like such a brave man.
I wanted to take a minute and think about Mr. Bates. I felt like he was the kind of person who would have been happy that we read his diary.
We could all meet the same fate as Mr. Bates.
Oh, Fritz!
A terrible thing to say.
But we could.
Now, Fritz, you're forgetting something important. We're not in the same situation as that poor man. If one of us gets ill, the rest of the family will take care of the sick one.
That's right. Luckily, there are 5 members of our family. So we'll never be alone, right, Dad?
Right, Becca? Think of the times the family's rescued you.
We'll always be there for you, Fritz.
I'm sorry. I just got scared for a minute there.
Well, I think it's natural to feel helpless in a situation like this, but remember we have God's help too. Let's pray. We'll bury him properly now.
It was very comforting at times like that to have the whole family, including Brewster, by my side. I knew some people might feel sorry for me since I was marooned on a desert island, but I felt like I was very fortunate. The next day, the weather was perfect to bury Mr. Bates. It was beautiful out, but sort of gloomy as befitted this somber occasion. It was my idea to use his cup as a headstone. Since we had read Mr. Bates' diary, I considered him to be a friend, and I knew he would appreciate the personal touch.
Jack, I brought some flowers for the captain's grave. Will you put them there?
Sure.
We want to remember him in the brave way he saved Fritz's life.
I'll never forget the captain. Is this right?
Strange, isn't it? In this short time, we haven't seen a living soul, but we've had to bury 2 men.
We thought we should bring the goats.
I wanted to bring the baby, even though he isn't old enough to know Mr. Bates.
Now that we're gathered together, I'd like everybody to pray for Mr. Bates.
I think you should also pray.
Oh, it's if she knows instinctively that this is the grave of her old master.
You may be right, Anna. These goats are intelligent creatures.
Hey, I just thought of a brilliant idea. Why don't we name our 2 goats after Eric Bates? We could call the mother Eric and the baby Bates.
That's a great idea. And Becca, I think that Mr. Bates would appreciate it.
I think it sounds ridiculous. Eric is a man's name. It just isn't appropriate for a female goat.
Do you remember my classmate Christina? She named her female cat Ferdinand by mistake, but the cat always came when Christina called her for dinner.
Oh, Becca. Heavens, it's raining again.
Let's go home.
It's time to go, Bates.
All right, you just stick close to me, Eric.
At the speed they're going, they'll be dry when they get home.
Just give me a moment, Ernest. Mr. Bates, I wish you had lived until we had come to the island. Perhaps we could have helped you.
We've done everything that we can do for him, Anna.
And so the family left the graveyard feeling happy that we had buried Mr. Bates, but sad that we hadn't gotten the chance to be friends. As soon as the rain stopped, we all went back to the treehouse to start moving the important stuff. Since we were only planning to stay in the cave during the rainy season, we decided to take only the bare necessities with us. If you ask me, I would have said we were taking too much. Those bare necessities weighed a ton. My arms feel like they're being pulled out of their sockets.
Come on, Becca, it's not very much further.
Come on, hurry up. I think it's going to rain.
You're right about that.
Why? Why me? The only thing worse than carrying a heavy bucket is carrying a heavy bucket in the rain. By the time we finished making 2 trips, I was totally exhausted. But it was all worth it, though, once we were safe in the cave.
No matter how hard it rains, we won't get wet now.
Now I'm happy that it's raining.
I'm glad it's raining too.
I wonder how the treehouse is holding up.
Me too, it's raining awfully hard.
I kept myself warm by remembering how wet the treehouse used to get when it rained. It seemed that no matter how many coconut shells we'd put out, there was always another leak somewhere. I missed the treehouse, but once we got the fire going in the cave, I didn't think there was a better home anywhere. Oh!
What is it, Anna?
Ernest, look who's back.
But at least they're not coming into the cave.
I feel sorry for them. If you look at it from the bat's point of view, we just barged right in here and took away their home.
It's unfortunate that we had to kick them all out of their roost. But, my dear, we need a warm place to stay, too.
You're right, dear. There's not another place on the island we could go to keep dry.
Don't worry about them, Anna. I'm sure they'll find somewhere else to live.
I feel sorry for them, too.
I bet you'd feel a lot sorrier if you had 30 bats sleeping in your bedroom.
It can't be helped.
My apologies, dear bats.
The bats all flew away. I hoped they'd go to the treehouse, but it probably had too much light for them to sleep during the day. Good luck! Now that we no longer had to worry about the bats, we all sat around the table together and enjoyed the coziness that the cave provided during the rain.
It sounds like someone's tired.
We all did a lot of work today, and I think it's time we all go to bed and get some sleep.
Tonight's our first night in our brand new home.
Where do you want us to sleep?
Let's see. Would you rather sleep out here, or would you rather sleep in a smaller room?
I'd like to ask you a favor, Dad.
And what's that, Becca?
Would it be possible for me to have my own room?
That's a good idea.
But Becca, don't you think you'll be afraid all alone in the dark?
I'm not at all afraid. So can I do it, Father?
Why not? We can do it on a trial basis.
Yay!
So, which room do you want to sleep in?
I want the little one.
Then I think I'll take,
I think you should take Mr. Bates' old room.
Huh? Mr. Bates's room? Why that one?
Come on. I think you're just afraid.
No, I'm not. Mr. Bates slept there because it's the nicest place in the cave. I'm glad it's my room.
It's settled.
Fritz, I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to sleep in that room.
I have to agree with your mother.
If that's what you want.
Personally, I think you're glad you don't have to sleep there.
You're nuts.
Fritz is a scaredy cat.
Where's my room?
I think it's best if you stay with me and your mother.
Can I sleep alone?
Remember, Jack? Sometimes when you're alone, you're afraid of the dark.
No, I'm not.
All right. So which room do you think you'd like then, Jack?
Oh, Ernest.
Go ahead and pick out the one you think you want.
Yay!
This cave can look pretty spooky at night. Maybe you should think about it for a while before you decide whether or not you want your own room.
Ah!
What seems to be the trouble?
I guess I just got scared.
That's normal, Jack. You're just little.
Yeah, I'm just little.
I'd say it's time for bed.
And so for the first time in many months, I didn't have to share a room with Fritz. I think he appreciated the chance to be alone as much as I did. It's nice and quiet. I bet I'll sleep like a log. What's that? It's a bat. Ooh! And what in the world are you still doing here in the cave, little bat? You should have gone with all the others. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. You're just a baby. I guess you're just trying to be friendly. Oh, I've got it. Why don't you stay with me? I've never had a pet bat before. You need a name. I know. How does the name Beatrice sound? I'll expect you to come when I call, though. I think I'll enjoy having you for a roommate. Good night, Beatrice. We'd only been in our new house one day, and I'd already made a new friend. Before I went to sleep, I started to plan how I would decorate my room. It was certainly cozy, but I thought it needed more of a personal touch. And before I closed my eyes for the last time, I thought that we must be the only family lucky enough to have 2 different homes on a desert island.